The first appeal I am just going to refer to as the appeal on the merits instead of referring to it by its final numbers, which are 6-7. I know, 6-7. I know. That's the appeal that we've covered in a lot of other cases where the appellate lawyers bring in a list of the trial court ruled this wrong, the trial court didn't do that, an appeal based on the merits of the case. That is different than the appeal that is going forward now. The appeal on the merits of the case was determined in September 2024, and spoilers, the conviction was affirmed. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about another appeal going forward, would we? I want to look real quick at just what points the defense was arguing in bringing this appeal. Their first argument, which is called assignment of error in Ohio, is that the juvenile court erred when it concluded that the state presented sufficient credible evidence to demonstrate probable cause to believe that Shirilla purposely and or knowingly caused the deaths of the victims. So the first argument is that this shouldn't have been found to have met enough evidence to get from juvenile court to adult court to be tried. Remember, the juvenile court did remove some of the murder counts that had originally been filed. Their next assignment of error is that the state failed to introduce sufficient evidence to sustain the convictions in violation of Shirilla's right of due process. There's not enough argument. There's not enough evidence here. There's not enough evidence presented by the state. There's not enough evidence here. This violates the constitutional rights. Insufficient evidence. The next assignment of error is that the convictions are against the manifest weight of the evidence, which is another way to argue that essentially the trial court got it wrong in their verdict. Not enough evidence here. The next assignment of error is that the trial court erred by permitting the state to introduce character and or other acts evidence during its case in chief. This is similar to the arguments that we saw in Murdaugh. Too much financial crimes in Murdaugh was something that the court noted, though it's not the reason Murdaugh's conviction got overturned. But this is one of those areas where if character evidence comes in and if other acts evidence comes in, it can be an area where you see a conviction overturned. However, that's harder to do when you have a bench trial. The worry is that jurors can't separate these things in their mind, that jurors are going to look at something that's unflattering of a defendant and be like, well, yeah, they, probably did the thing. Generally, they suck. They probably did all the things. That is improper character propensity evidence. Hey, they probably did the thing. And the final argument that they brought on this appeal is that the trial court erroneously precluded the defense from introducing testimony and or evidence relating to the July 17th incident, thereby prejudicing Shirilla's constitutional right to due process and fair trial, as well as her right to present a meaningful and complete defense. This is regarding a prior incident where it is alleged that Shirilla was overheard saying that she was going to crash the vehicle while she was in the vehicle driving and in a fight with Dominic Russo.